And now for something completely different. Card games. Spire is a solid one at that, and don't let the early access tag or its combination with Roguelike to scare you. The devs' mega crit games work hard at it. While there are no random crits in this game, there are plenty of critical choices to be made, so no two climbs will feel the same. At least in theory. So what is this game, you ask? Well, it's also a strategy game and a deck building one. The sheer capability to connect all of that impressed me greatly. To break it down, your typical game of Spire goes something like this. You click on the play tab and choose color you like. If you need help on this, the rest of the game might be difficult. But devs thought about it and made you unlock characters one at a time. Amazing achievement for tutorials everywhere. As usual in these games, you meet a whale instantly. Here, however, it is friendly and even gives you a starting reward to choose from. And we're starting the dungeon. However, I think you're going up, so it's more like a tower. Maybe. We raft to slay the Spire. What is Spire and why it needs to be slain? Well, that would be spoiler territory, but I assure you that you will be ashamed of your words and deeds when you uncover this bit of mystery at the very end. Anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. On a map, we can choose journey starting location. As you see, all of them begins with the basic enemy encounter, so I'm going straight up there. Game is really simple. Really. We get into the battle screen, and things here usually goes like this. Each turn, you draw 5 cards from your deck, and you play like 3 of them. Depends on mana, energy, ability points, whatever you may call it. Other things to be aware of are your health. If that goes to 0, you will be sent to Shadow Realm. Health will not recover after battles, so be mindful. And look for the rest sites found along the road on the map. However, Ironclad has the ability to heal 6 HP after the battle, and it makes health management easier. As a new player-friendly character, again, tutorial. So smart. So usually, good idea would be to block amount of damage the enemy will deal and only then worry about dealing some to the enemy yourself. Or not, that's the fun of it. Up to you to decide what to do in the current situation. What the enemy will do after ending your turn is showed above it. That includes attacking, defending, insults, debuffing, or combination of those. You end your turn, discard your hand, enemy does its action. You draw 5 new cards, and that back and forth continues until you or all the enemies die. When you run out the cards in your deck, your discard pile shuffles back to the draw pile, so deck size isn't an issue, just how effective it is. There's a deck joke to be made, but we are family friendly now, so we won't step to that level. Basically, you want only the best cards, or the ones that suit some sort of strategy. Assuming you won, after the battle you get to pick various rewards. Those might be gold that you can spend at shops found on the map. Cards, potions, relics might be bought. Some events might also make use of it. Potions are potions, have similar qualities to cards, but it's the stuff you will remember having way too late. What's cool is that they can still be used independently of energy, and until used, stays in your inventory. As I said, potions. Simple. Relics. Those are permanent effects that you can keep throughout your journey. Let's say something like this will give you 1 energy every 3 turns. But relics can get pretty complex and provide some crazy synergies with other relics or cards. However, those will not drop from simple enemies, but elites and bosses, or be found in treasure chests. Of course, there are cards. Drops from basic enemies, and you get to choose one of the 3 to add. Cards themselves are classified into rarities, but because you don't spend real cash on packs, the whole pride and sense of accomplishment thing isn't really that significant. But their effects are still rather impressive. There's also color, which depends on character picked, mostly, and neutral ones, which all characters can use. Cards have types like attack cards, those attack, look at the numbers, simple. Skill cards, those not skill but protect. Also draw cards and other stuff. Might also attack. We'll have to read words here, complicated stuff. Power. Those when used are most similar to relics whom I haven't explained very well. Effects lasting all battle after played. Now status and curse cards is where the game weaves its genres together and what really made me appreciate that combination. Status cards are unplayable mostly. They represent a negative type that clogs the deck pile so you don't draw the useful ones. And that would limit your options obviously. This use of cards is much more interesting take on negative effects than simple lowering of stats that the game also uses. Some might even deal damage at the end of the turn. You'll gain those while fighting,
The good is that they're gone at the end of the battle. Curses functions pretty much the same, except that they're a bit more permanent and stay in the deck forever. This problem can be solved by removing cards from shops, but that will cost you. Better just not get them. So don't take stuff from strange events, wash your hands, and get checked up from time to time. Those events might lurk where the question mark icons are on the map, if you are lucky getting one and not a common fight instead. Represented in lore snippets and some choices in roleplay. That and all the flavor text helps world building, and well, that's what Bloodborne does. So it's great by default. This also has bosses. Bosses are difficult battles. Yeah. What's left? Cards themselves might be upgraded. Another layer of choice in an already complex game. I already spent too much on explanation, but game tries and I believe succeeds in explaining its more in-depth mechanics. Hovering cursor on pretty much anything will show an explanation, so if you forget what a certain card does, or keyword means, there's always help. Learning and understanding them will be necessary because there are plenty to be aware of. Something like Artifact, for example. Buff that enemies will use negates a negative effect. You can use it too. Could be found of cards or relics. Also $20 on Steam. Slay the Spire is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. But I can assure you that you won't get it exactly how you want it. And that's part of the experience, honestly. The journey of making choices of whatever seems best, getting screwed by randomness, and somehow still getting it to work. And if by some miracle your strategy actually succeeds, feels good, man. Getting to the end of the journey unlocks Ascension, which is basically additional layer of difficulty. Be that, and even more challenge awaits in Ascension level 2. And it's Ascensions all the way up. Also, win or lose, there's a level progression system, which provides additional cards and relics to unlock, and use in further climbs. Some way I actually have to mention those other and important things, like that charming graphical style. Music, however, definitely kicks in when fighting against those pesky bosses and absolutely fits there. Sounds are clear enough and does provide a satisfaction when hitting those high damage attacks. Cursor has huge targeting arrow to make all that quickscoping easy. Honestly, while I talked about how the game works, this time I really didn't want to spoil it. While this isn't really a game to play for the story, to rob you out of this amazing learning experience and burden you with knowledge would be a crime. The actual learning of the strategies to use against the enemies yourself, and knowing what to expect from those enemies, where you want to have a Rio of effect attacks, or maybe focus on the power cards, maybe just straight hits with the enemy, finding great card synergies, or how to abuse relics from some really broken stuff makes Slay the Spire such a joy. And while looking for those, time with the game flies by quickly. Successful runs went for about an hour for me, but you don't need to allocate this much time. There is save option if you want to continue from where you stopped last time. Here I haven't even touched the daily climb, where the rules are absolutely whack and changes each day. Or the leaderboards to compete with other Spire Slayers. To top it off, there's a custom games where, well, you can do anything, really. Making your own rules, making your own starting decks. So many things to customize that the other card games can eat their hearts out. This is rarely seen in other card games, and I'll make bold assumptions that it's their monetization models that won't exactly support such an undertaking. Of course, what makes it for me is that it's single player. Maybe I'm just jaded of all the multiplayer card battle experience, but after so many different games and different but not really takes on genre, I just got exhausted. And now I've found this. And no, being a sole loser has nothing to do with it. Please believe me. I am not salty. Now playing with yourself is where the fun is. I would know. And I have more than 100 hours on Slay the Spire to back it up. Also, that 100 hours is what took me to find that you can actually click on lights. So take anything I said again with a grain of salt. At the time of making this video, it's €15.99 on Steam. Megacrit probably going to finish it, but more than a year in early access brought many updates already. And honestly, it's already great. It feels feature complete as it is now, and I would recommend it. Unless you are just planning to see the decks, try every character once, and then forget it. Will also be perfect on the Switch. Those who have the patience and want it there might consider that option. I could probably spend even more time praising Slay the Spire while talking in circles, but the video has to have an ending. Rather Solid channel was made with the idea of looking at games where the brilliant decisions in their design were made, where the thought were put into making them. Pointing out its flaws might provoke more discussion, but the successes should be celebrated as well. My life sucks enough to talk about gaming's fallouts and greatness. At least for now. Having said that, Spire isn't perfect. Especially being nitpicky. You could say that the art style is lacking. Or say that the story here is a bit non-existent. You can always ask for more enemy variety, especially in earlier encounters. Leaderboards can be comparable to some ranked play in your usual card battle games. And that to get on top of those, you might need to get good. Leveling up on logs might get old quicker than you would want to. While wanting to attack those pesky ascensions with full kit available, getting your third character to that level 6 definitely just isn't as exciting as the first one. And it feels more than just put it there to gatekeep cards and relics, rather to just shelter the player from too many options while they're still earning. But those things just aren't substantial enough to ruin the experience. Doesn't really clash with the game's main part of deck building while going through the dungeon. Tower, I think. The journey of slaying the Spire, whatever that's supposed to mean, is an entertaining one. And I'm interested to see what's next in store for the game when it's actually finished. Of course, as with any review, at the end comes the most important part: score. Without much ado, I can only, with conviction, proclaim that Spire is the Bloodborne of single-player deck-building roguelike card games. It truly made us feel like Spire Slayers, and that's all that needs to be said about it. Just go and play it. If you're still here, maybe leave a comment. And if you want to see quality content, you might want to search somewhere else. But we might make a better video, so subscribe to find that out. Hope it was rather solid, and thank you for watching.